Shabbat Shalom. So I welcome you all here in the sanctuary. We have a much smaller group, so if anyone wants to move up a little bit closer, you may. If you're comfortable where you are, that's fine. We welcome all those who are here on Zoom for us as well. We have a smaller group today because we're divided. I know Rabbi Cohen and I have always talked about not being divided, bringing us together, unifying us, but we are divided today. Part of our community is at the J, collaborating with, I think, 5 or 6 other synagogues in a Shabbat experience and dinner. So we are happy that they are there, and we're delighted that you're here to share this Shabbat adventure with us. We're going to begin with Joel Heller, who's going to sound our shofar this evening in preparation for the High Holy Days, as we do just before we light our candles for Shabbat. We reflect on how we're preparing for the High Holy Days and the promises we want to make to ourselves for a better new year. I guess you can't have a better new year if you haven't started it yet, so for a good new year. There you go.
Tekiah, Shavarim, Teruah, Tekiah Gedolah, I love to hear the shofar blast, sometimes slow and sometimes fast. I love to hear the shofar blast. Happy, happy, happy New Year, Tekiah. You guys are supposed to echo me. Let's try that again.
Don't expect it from me.
Tekiah.
Tekiah. I told you. Shavarim.
Teruah.
Teruah.
I love to hear the shofar blast, sometimes slow and sometimes fast. I love to hear the shofar blast. Happy, happy, happy New Year. Happy, happy, happy New Year. Happy, happy, happy New Year.
Cha-cha-cha. We're going to continue with our candle lighting via Zoom. We're inviting Selma Gewurzman. I've never called Selma this in my life. And I assume Bob's going to be there as well. We're on page 2 of Mishkan Tefillah. So Selma and Bob somewhere on Zoom. Oh.
Okay. Okay, let's go. You make the light brighter? Make the light on. Okay, everybody ready? As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we, in our own day, be among those who kindle light. Shut the fan. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech olam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tivanu l'kadlat ner shel Shabbat.
Adonai,
Eloheinu melech
haolam, asher kirishanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
And Selma and Bob, I know you're going to translate in just a minute, but I know you have you're doing this in honor of your special anniversary. So we will have our blessings for you a little bit later, but I just wanted to give you my personal blessing for a very, very happy anniversary for you.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Yes, 66 years. 66. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat. Okay.
The psalmist said, "Sing praise to Adonai with the lyre and melodious song, with trumpets and the blast of the shofar." Well, we've heard the blast of the shofar already this evening. So now how about some melodious song? Page 16. Samru Adonai bechino. Bechino v'kol zimra. Samru l'Adonai bechino. Bechino v'kol zimra. Samru l'Adonai bechino, bechino v'kol zimra. Samru l'Adonai bechino. Bechino v'kol zimra. Samru l'Adonai bechino. Bechino v'kol zimra. Samru l'Adonai bechino. Bechino v'kol zimra.
Teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer, on the mystery of a withered leaf, on a ripened fruit so fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. Teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew your days. Lest my day be today as the one before, lest routine set my ways. We continue with Lechato D on page 20.
Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, b'nei Shabbat nekabela. Shabbat nekabela. Shamoy v'zachor b'dibur echad. Ishmi'anu el hamiuchad. Adonai echad u'shemo echad. L'shemo tiferet v'litila. Lecha dodi. Lecha dodi likrat kala. Penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala. Penei Shabbat nekabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha. Ki mekor haberacha. Merosh mikedem nesucha. Sof maaseh b'machshava tchila. Lecha dodi likrat kala. Penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala. Penei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri, toreri, kiva orech kumi ori, uri shir daberi. Kvod Adonai alayich nigla. Lecha dodi likrat kala. Penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala. Penei Shabbat nekabela. We rise to greet the Shabbat bride. Boi v'shalom ateret bala. Gam besimcha uvetzola. Toch emunei am segula. Boi chala. Lecha dodi likrat kala. Penei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala. Penei Shabbat nekabela.
Please be seated. In nature's ebb and flow, God's eternal law abides. When tears dim our vision or grief clouds our understanding, we often lose sight of God's eternal plan. Yet we know that growth and decay, life and death all reveal a divine purpose. God, who is our support in the struggles of life, is also our hope at the end of our lives. We've set God before us, and we shall not despair. In God's hands are all the souls of the living, the spirits of all flesh. Under God's protection we abide, and by God's love we are comforted. O life of our life, soul of our soul, cause your light to shine into our hearts and fill our spirits with an abiding trust in you. We continue with the Chatzi Kaddish on page 26.
Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabba.
Amen.
Be'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'chayei dechol beit Yisrael. Bagala ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעולמי עלמיה. יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל שמי דקודשא בריחו לעילא מן כל ברכתה ושירתה ושפחתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמא ואמרו אמן. ברכו את אדוני המבורך. ברוך אדוני המבורך, המבורך לעולם ועד.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidravu maravim maravim, b'chokma poteach sharim, uvitvuna meshane itim, umachalif et hazmanim, umisader et hakochavim b'mishmoroteim barakia kirtzono, borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshek, v'choshek mipnei or, umavir yom umevi layla, umavdil ben yom uvein layla, Adonai Tzevaot Shemo, El Chai v'Kayam Tamid Yimloch Aleinu Leolam Va'ed, Baruch Atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. Together we continue on page 32 in the English. Everlasting love you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we'll meditate on your laws and your commandments. Rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael, page 34.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kavod Malachuto, Leolam Va'ed. Please be seated. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Page 39, page 39. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot, that wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together.
מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש,
page 45, I was reflecting on the top meditation before Sarah leads us in the singing of Ishamru. And this last line, what happened once upon a time happens all the time. This idea that the Jewish community has endured thousands of years. And I shared last evening at the J a three-part, at the beginning of the first part of a three-part class I'm teaching called Taste of Judaism, which Legacy Temple Emmanuel did for many years, and we're continuing that tradition. And I shared with them, and maybe you're familiar with it, a short, an excerpt from an essay Mark Twain wrote in 1899 in Harper's, I don't know if it's Harper's Bazaar, but it was Harper's something. Anyway, in 1899, called Concerning the Jews. And he began the first number of paragraphs about how Jews have long endured, and that many great empires have risen and fallen, like the Greeks and the Romans, Babylonians before them, and so on and so forth. And yet, there's still Jews in our midst. And he ends the essay with, how does one explain their immortality? So maybe that's something we should reflect on this Shabbat, or maybe just during the singing of Ishamru. What is it that what makes it that we are so enduring, and what is the answer to what is our immortality, the reason for it?
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני, את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
We continue with the Amida on page 46. Please rise.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, הגדול, הגיבור והנורא, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים, וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה. ונאמן אתה לחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. We continue silently through page 62, either sitting or standing.
For those of you who are joining us at home, this is time to add any names you have for our Mishaberach list or list of healing. And it's at this time we offer a special prayer of healing of body, soul, and spirit. And with our community here, we add the names Alex Bolt, Estelle Abrams, Mike Jenkins, Ella Kopass, Al Sheppers Sr., Norma Palmer, Elaine Mamie, and Roby Robertson. If there is anyone in our sanctuary who would like to add someone's name for healing, you may do so at this time. Jean. Thank you. Ben. Thank you. John. Thank you. Len. Thank you. Yes. Thank you. So our Mishaberach prayer is found on page 253, and you may either rise spiritually or physically for this prayer. Let me just double check. I didn't think I saw anyone else. That's it.
Mishaberach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach Imotenu Mekor HaBracha Avotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shalema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Please be seated. One of my favorite books on my bookshelf at home is Chicken Soup for the Soul. And one of my favorite stories in that book, so some of you may have heard this before, one of my favorite stories is the story of a bus that was riding along a bumpy road in the south, and in one of the seats near the back of the bus was a wispy old man who sat there holding a bunch of freshly cut flowers. And just across the aisle, sitting almost next to him, was this young girl whose eyes kept going back and forth and looking sort of adoringly at those flowers. Well, the time came for this old-timer to get off the bus, and he walked over to the young girl and he said, "I can see that you love the flowers that I have." And he explained, "I think my wife would love for you to have them, and I'll tell her I gave them to you." And he got off the bus and walked into a cemetery. So, you know, one of the meanings I find in that story is that it's an expression of how we ought to be aware of our surroundings and be sensitive to the world around us. And in so many ways, and especially in this week's Torah portion, our guiding principles tell us that we should do the same thing as well. Oftentimes when we think of observance in Judaism, we think of attending Shabbat prayer services, holidays, maybe kashrut, maybe lighting candles at home on a Friday night, celebrating holidays, cooking special Jewish meals and things like that. But little do we regard our Judaism oftentimes when we're walking around the world. And in this week's Torah portion, there happen to be 72 mitzvot, which is probably some of the most mitzvot you're going to find in any Torah portion. And while we see a lot of commandments, a lot of mitzvot, let's say in the book of Leviticus, usually the driving force of those mitzvot, the reason why you do it, is found about 19 times in Leviticus, where it says, you do these mitzvot because I'm the eternal your God. Now here in the beginning of our Torah portion, there's something that's completely different. In the first few verses, we see either something like lo hitalamti or lo tuchal lehitalem. So what it means is that you should not remain indifferent. So you do these commandments, don't be indifferent. And for those of you who've walked into my office, either here or at Or Hadash, you may have noticed a somewhat colorful lithograph that I have on the wall by Sister Mary Carita, who was the artist commissioned by my synagogue, Leo Beck Temple in Los Angeles, for their 25th anniversary to do a commissioned art piece. And she has in Hebrew, Lo tuchal lehitalem, you shall not remain indifferent, and a quote from Leo Beck about what that actually means. I had a parent in my office with his daughter who was becoming bat mitzvah, and he's an Israeli, and I asked him, if he would translate it, read it and translate it, and he read it, and he translated, you shall not disappear. In modern Hebrew, lehitalem is disappear. You're not supposed to disappear from something that you see out in the world. And that's what we see a lot of these things in our Torah portion. I'll just give you a few. The first one we find in our Torah portion this week is if you see your fellow's donkey has fallen down under its burden, under its load, you have to help the person lift it up. And then it says, lo hitalamti, you shall not remain indifferent. And why is this a big deal? You don't even know the guy. But here is an event that happened right in front of your eyes. And here is a problem that this person is going to have because what's on his donkey, but it's probably his livelihood. And you're just not helping an injured animal, and you're just not helping this person for that moment, but you're helping this person and their livelihood in the days, the weeks, and months ahead, because if he can't get these goods to market, what's going to happen to him? A little bit later on, we have a weird one that says, if along the road you chance upon a bird's nest and in any tree or on the ground there are fledglings, little birds or eggs, and the mother sitting over the fledglings or the eggs, you have to shoo the mother away, and if you want the eggs or the little birdies, so you can have, your omelet or your chicken fricassee for lunch, whatever it may be, you have to shoo away the mother and then take what you need. And there's no explanation except to say if you do this right, if you shoo away the mother so she's not witness to this, you're going to have a long life. And only one other place does this occur, and that's in the Ten Commandments when it says to honor your parents. If you do so, you'll have a long life. So with these birds on the road, you get a long life. It seems sort of trivial. And yet, and the rabbis go to great lengths to try and explain it away. And one rabbi said, hey, when there's such a reward as a long life, you don't try and explain, just do it. Even if it's trivial, just do it. And so it just reminds us, and I was in tonight's readings that we glossed over a little bit, on page 53 if you want to take a look. It says, days pass and years vanish and we walk sightless among miracles. God, fill our eyes with seeing and our minds with knowing. Let there be moments when your presence like lightning illumines the darkness in which we walk. So we walk along our road with blinders on because we know what we have to do. We're going from here to there. We got our shopping list. We got to take care of it. And if something happens along the way, we're in darkness. We don't see it. and we have disappeared possibly from an obligation to help someone in some particular way, whether it changes their life or not. When you do a kindness to someone, when you see something happening in that moment, who knows whether you can change their life or not. I love seeing King Charles III today. His mother just died. He flew from Scotland to England. He's at Buckingham Palace, and what's the first thing he does? He goes and greets the people who are mourning his mother, hand to hand. And he doesn't flinch when those couple women kiss him on the cheek, as you might expect. And then where does he go? He goes to the gate, and he looks at the flowers, and he looks at the notes. Lo tucha lehitalem. He was not indifferent. He did not disappear from the fact that there are people all around him that is in the same mournful light or darkness that he is, and he reached out to them in a significant way. So I hate the bumper sticker, random acts of kindness. Okay, when I want to think about it, I'll do it. No, when something appears to you, do it. That's not random. That is your responsibility here in this Torah portion, over and over again. Don't disappear when you see a need, when you can reach out and just do one little kindness. That's not a random act of kindness. It's something you witness. Our prayer book says God illumines you in that moment, and you just go and do it. You may not light candles every Shabbat. You may not eat the right foods all the time. Who cares? God doesn't care. In this Torah portion, there's something, we're not going to go into the details. Men shouldn't wear women's clothing, and women shouldn't wear men's clothing. And one of the commentators from the 14th century, God doesn't care about what clothes you wear. This has to do with misdeeds. These people who are doing this are doing it because they want to do a dishonor. It has nothing to do with what they're wearing. But the whole idea is, you see something, you can do a kindness. You can do something loving. And maybe we can reach out and do that. Let me end with this. Remember that love in the Torah actually is not the word love the way we know it, but it actually means respect. That is, to have the sensitivity and openness to others in a respectful manner. And this refers to God, it refers to our neighbors, it refers to strangers who appear in our Torah 36 times. And remember also what Elie Wiesel once said. The opposite of love is not hate, it is indifference. No, it's indifference. It's this word right here. Moses teaches us to keep these values, pass them on, and most importantly, lo tucha lehitalem. Don't remain indifferent. Don't disappear. Amen. We invite Ben Vogel, who hasn't given announcements for years, to give our announcements for this week. So yeah.
Shabbat Shalom. My name is Ben Vogel, and I am a trustee on the Kolami Board of Trustees. Seems a little redundant. Thank you, Rabbi Thomas Lackheim, and the wonderful cantorial intern extraordinaire, Sarah Bolt, for leading services this evening. I want to express my appreciation also to Chris Tackett, tickling the ivories, beautifully. That's what. Thank you to Selma and Robert Gewirtzman for lighting the candles this evening. Finally, thank you to the wonderfully talented Joel Heller for blowing the shofar. Tomorrow, Torah study will take place at 8:30 a.m., followed by our Shabbat service at 10 a.m. Mazel tov to all. Mazel tov.
No, mazel tov is fine.
I just created a new term. Mazel tov to all those celebrating birthday or anniversary this month. Check our website to register for this class, and learn about all our other classes. I think something's missing there. Sorry, I should have read this ahead of time. Next Friday, the 16th, from 6 to 6:25, p.m., join our very own chant leader, Ellen Solat, for her innovative Preparing for Prayer chant experience in the chapel before Shabbat services. There are a few tickets left for the Mocha breakfast to welcome Rabbi Cohen and his family this Sunday, day after tomorrow, September 11th at 9:30 a.m. Everybody is invited to attend. Join all the clergy on Saturday, September 17, 7:30 p.m. for a study and worship opportunity. This is a moment for all of us to prepare for the high holidays. Check your weekly email to register. If you haven't already renewed your membership to Kol Ami, I encourage you to do it as soon as possible. If you're a member of Kol Ami and haven't already registered for the in-person attendance at our high holiday services, please do that within the next day or so before we open registration to non-members and guests. If you have questions, please call the front office. On behalf of the Kol Ami clergy, staff, and board of trustees, please stay safe and healthy. Shabbat Shalom.
So I know we have birthdays and anniversaries, which we'll get to in just a moment for the month of September. But we are looking forward to anyone sharing with us a Shekianu moment, something that was wonderful that happened to you, or just special that happened to you during the week that you're willing to share with us. So if you have something special, you got to use the microphone. I get in trouble if you don't. So Herb, you want to come up? You're not. Huh? No, they won't hear you at home. We want them to hear you at home, and maybe they can. I don't know if they're going to focus. Oh, they're going to see you at home too.
I realized this morning that it's the 4th anniversary of. I can't be any closer, dear.
We hear. It's the 4th anniversary of your wife yelling at you.
But also, no, yeah.
No, it's
that wouldn't be the 4th anniversary. The 4th anniversary of my retirement from working, which happened Erev Rosh Hashanah 4 years ago.
Wow.
I purposely timed it. That was the exact date that I started working.
And that's why she's
After
yelling at you. Get out of the house, Herb.
No, I was a good boy. I did some work today.
Oh, good. Okay. Anyone else have something special that they want to share? You have to come up to the microphone for it. It's got to be something. How's your Tai Chi class going? Come on up and just say something wonderful. But I had one of your students who just privately told me how it's so glorious. So, Harriet, why don't you share with us the glory of your Tai Chi class?
I'm just honored to be able to teach. I've got 2 of my students sitting right there, and I have new ones coming, and they keep coming and coming, and I'm going to have to cut it off because I can't give everybody the attention.
We'll do a paid advertisement. Tell everyone when it is.
It's on Tuesday mornings at 9 o'clock in the Side Jester, and we're going to have a third of 4 introductory classes, and then after Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, we're starting actual basic Tai Chi. So it's been wonderful. Everybody just is so kind.
So do you have something? Oh, good, good, good.
I saw the cardiologist this week, and I'm normal.
Oh, that's so sad. We liked you when you were special. Lynn Ray? Oh, about normal?
That's true, too. I saw the cardiologist this week also, and he told me I lost too much weight after my operation, and he wants me to eat more chocolate. Yeah, and because I have low blood pressure, it could even be salted caramel. So that was something really good. But honestly, for 3 years, I've been trying to get my Yortzeit candles to be available at the United States Holocaust Museum. And as of October 1st, all of them will be there. So I'm very honored to have that happen.
Thank you. All right, does anyone have a September birthday or anniversary besides Bob and Selma? If you do, you got to stand up. You can't just point. There we go. There's one. Thanks, Rita. Anyone else? So the 3 of you. That's it. Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, our God and God of our fathers and mothers, we are so blessed to have you, to have Bob and Selma celebrating these special times with us as a congregation. May each birthday, may each anniversary be special, wonderful, and joyful for you always. And may your celebration of additional year give you the inspiration to reach out to others and bring them joy and happiness too. And let us all say amen.
Amen.
Sarah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה.
Reminder for those joining us at home, if you have names for the Kaddish list, please send them JJ or in the comments section on whatever platform you are on. We continue now with the Aleinu, page 282. 282.
Aleinu לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד.
Please be seated as we take a few moments of reflection before the reading of the Kaddish. If there's anyone here in the sanctuary who is saying Kaddish for a loved one and would like to take a pebble, place it in their hand, feel the impact symbolically of that person's life for a moment and place it on the table, you may do so at this time. Thanks. this time, we recall one who was laid to rest this past week, Erwin Sattinger. His children, Stephen and Rachel Sattinger, Kim Sattinger, her significant other, Steve Green, Michael Sattinger of blessed memory, and his wife, Clarice, Joyce Sattinger, and also he was grandfather to Rebecca and Zachary Palmer, Zachary and Alexandra Sattinger, great-grandfather of Julie and Aubrey Palmer, and also blessed by being related to Rochelle Rubin, the Rubin, Gleichman, and Hackenstadt families. We're not saying Kaddish for the next two people who passed away this week, but just a reminder of two important individuals in our community. Stephen Parks, whose funeral will be Monday afternoon, died this week, husband of Debbie Parks, brother of David Parks and Hunter Parks, and son-in-law of Jack and Joan Cole. And Roz Stein, whose funeral will be Monday morning at Evergreen, the wife of blessed memory, the wife of Ralph of blessed memory, a mother of Wendy, Janet, Edward, David, grandmother of Laura, Max, Rachel, Elise, Dylan, Emma, Carly, Seema, and great-granddaughter, Gigi. We also recall those who died within the past 30 days, Arnie Richmond, Alan Komensky, Leonard Baines, Alan Daniels, Pamela Marie Bertrand. And we also recall those who died at this season in years past, Eleanor Omdor, Marilee Asher, Daniel Bloomfield, Olga Breyer, Zelly Capon, Solomon Chikwar, Abe Cohen, Edward Einfrank, Rosalie Fink, Esther Friedman, Laura Gerstel, Charles Goldberg, Charles Gorman, Beverly Green, Hap Haggard, Walter Hirsch, Joel Hirschman, Julian Joseph, Morton Kirshnar, Aaron Nee, Gary Kep, Bertha Kronman, Elsa Landau, Samuel Lillian, Samuel Migidson, Betty Martin, Jack Mayer, Harry Miller, Robert Paul Miller, Pearl Osher, Thomas Peters, Charles Robertson, Hilda Rochman, Nathan Rosenwald, Helen Ross, Neil Rosikoff, Stephen Schulman, Frida Schwartz, Joseph Smith, Hilda Spector, Robert Sukman, Mildred Trantow, Mary Tsaguris, Sophie Walker, Leonard Wallach, Estelle Weidman, Walter Wolf, and Harry Yampol. If there are others in the sanctuary saying Kaddish for someone whom we did not mention, you may mention those names at this time. Oh, I do have Queen Elizabeth, who's mentioned, and Ray Rosenberg. So we ask our community, please rise and join these loved ones on page 294, 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, b'yalma divra chirute v'yamlik malchute, b'chayechon uvyomechon uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael, b'agala ubizman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mibarak Leolam Ulameo Maya, Yit Barak, Vayishtabak, Vayit Pa'ar, Vayitromam, Vayitnase, Vayitadar, Vayitalev, Vayitalal, Shmei Tekudesha Brichu, Le'elo Min Kol Birchata Vashirata, Tushbechata V'nechamata Damiran, Bialma, V'yimru Amen. Yehi Shlomo Rabba Min Shemaya, V'chayim aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimru Amen. Osei shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'yal kol Yisrael v'yimru Amen.
Ve'imru, ve'imru, ve'imru Amen. Ve'imru, ve'imru, ve'imru Amen. Our closing song, in the spirit of the approaching High Holy Days, can be found on page 344, or I believe we might have a slide. And there it is, almost. Pitchu pitchu li sharei tzedek, avo avovam odeya. Pitchu pitchu li sharei tzedek, avo avovam odeya. Pitchu li sharei tzedek, avovam odeya. Pitchu li sharei tzedek, avovam odeya. Pitchu pitchu li sharei tzedek, avo avovam odeya. Pitchu pitchu li sharei tzedek, avo avovam odeya. Pitchu li sharei tzedek, avovam odeya. Pitchu li sharei tzedek, avovam odeya.
I'm not singing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho be'ava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron le'maseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila lemikra'ei kodesh, zecher letziat Mitzrayim, ki vanu v'charta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha be'ava uvratzon hinchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Amen.
Chaim.
L'chaim.
Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Thank you. We give thanks to God for bread. Joining in. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is said. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. No, you can have one. I'll take the plate. Shabbat shalom, everyone.
Shabbat shalom.
Join us in the